everyone, this is Brian from Hines, back again for another episode in the Make It Yours series here on Workshop Wednesday. And as you can see, we're in our all-new studio. Alright guys, so today we're going to go into the motor for a Stage 2 upgrade utilizing our Hines 575 camshafts, our lifters, and our adjustable push rods. Hey guys, Brian here. We've got the moody lighting, sitting down in a chair, slumped over, so we're going to have a little heart-to-heart right now. This job isn't going to be easy. This is a 4 wallies out of 5 kind of job, our new difficulty scale. We're going into the motor, and this is something that a lot of people maybe aren't familiar with or aren't comfortable with. And I've done this for a number of years, so to me this is a normal everyday thing. But if you've worked on motors in the past, if you're very mechanically capable, by all means feel free to do this. And if you're not feeling comfortable going into the motor, if you don't have a lot of mechanical experience, this is something that I would recommend maybe taking it to a dealer or a shop, somebody who's familiar with this sort of thing. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is pull the spark plugs. Alright, so now we'll take the lift, we'll go ahead and put it under the rear portion of the frame, and we'll get the rear wheel up in the air. Now by getting the rear wheel up in the air, that will allow me, once the bike is in top gear, to rotate the rear wheel, which will turn over the motor, so that way we can take some pressure off the valve train. Alright, so now everything's up, we can rotate the rear wheel, which will turn over the motor, so you can hear the compression. So what that allows us to do is it gets us to top dead center. We can then take pressure off of the valve train, allowing us to go ahead and take a big set of bolt cutters. We'll cut these push rods out. So now that we've got the rear wheel up, first thing we're gonna do is pull the push rod clips. So there's a special tool for this. I like to just use a flathead screwdriver. Go ahead and get it in there and then just rotate it outward. Get it in and rotate. All right, so now we'll take a rubber band and we will wrap it around the push rod tube. Go through, collapse this upward, and take this end and put it to one of the rocker boxes. So now we're gonna rotate the rear wheel to turn over the motor to make sure that the valve train pressure is off of these push rods. Basically what I'm looking for is for both of these to hit their lowest position and to no longer move. Let's take a look here. So right there. So now I can rotate this push rod with my finger, just like that, front and rear. That's how you know the pressure is off of the valve train. All right, so now we're gonna take a rag, fish it around the push rod, because we want to protect the motor from the bolt cutters. Now we get the bolt cutters. So now that it's cut, we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. All right, so now that these are out, we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the front cylinder. Alright, so now that we've cut the push rod tubes out, we're going to remove the tappet blocks. Now, technically there is a specialty tool. It looks like a little U with a couple magnets, and it keeps the lifters from falling into the cam chest. However, you know, a couple gaskets is cheaper than a specialty tool, so we're just going to go ahead and remove the tappet blocks. So now that we've got the old ones out, let's go ahead and get the new lifter soaking in some oil. That'll allow it to basically soak up into the tappets to allow for pressure later. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and pull the cam cover. Make sure to have a drain pan underneath because there will be oil in here that comes out. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate over the motor because we want these two dots to match here in the center. Alright, so now what I'll do is I will pinch the chain to the gears and pull them off. That way everything stays in line. I'm not gonna lose my timing here. Take the whole assembly and just set it down with the rest of my parts. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and start removing all of these bolts to get the cam plate out. Now what we're gonna do, spill oil everywhere. We'll pull the circlip and then we'll be able to push the cams out that direction. All right, so here are the cams. You'll notice that these two are in line with each other. That is your timing. If you get that off by one tooth, if it kind of ends up looking like this when it goes back together, where it's just a little bit off, the bike will technically run, but it will run really poorly. And if you get another tooth off, then you're gonna have some serious problems. So it's always important to make sure these are lined up. All right, so let's go ahead and use our new 575 cams, get them unboxed, we'll get them into the timing chain. So we're gonna reuse this chain. So what we'll wanna do is kind of get the old cams out of here. Might as well just pop them in oil. Grab the new ones. Get them in. Now you can see I'm sort of putting them in kind of haphazardly because I'm not trying to line it up yet. Now is when I start to care. So as you can see, I got really lucky. I'm spot on. So we not only have the timing marks here, but we have them down there to make sure it's nice and simple. And at this point, we'll go ahead and put them back into the cam plate. So again, make sure those are still nice and in time. Go ahead and grab our washers from earlier. Make sure you don't swap them. If you do, this one's a bit thicker than that one, so the circlip won't go on. There's our new cams in the cam plate assembly. Again, all timed up. I'll go ahead and put this guy back in. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the cam plate back on with the bolts. Make sure you thread them all by hand. You don't want to strip any of this stuff. All right, so again, we're gonna go ahead and tighten the oil pump ones first, and then work our way around in a zigzag pattern. Now I have this on very light torque, so that way I can go back and actually torque it here in a second. All right guys, so I've mentioned it before in past Workshop Wednesdays. If you don't have a factory service manual, get one. It's gonna save you a lot of hassle. It gives me the torque specs for everything that's going back together. Taking it apart, you won't necessarily need it unless you don't know how to take it apart, in which case this will tell you. But putting it back together, this is an invaluable tool. So now we're gonna go ahead and take the gears, put them back on. Now some of this may have shifted, so you might need to try to line it back up again, but it should be pretty close. Or it could be spot on. Then again, go ahead and do this by hand. All that lined up, last thing to do is put that tensioner back on. Alright guys, so we got the cam cover back on. We went ahead and torqued everything per factory specifications. And we're all set to start putting the lifters in and then the push rods.
For more information on the products listed in this video, click on the link in the description area below. Feel free to call us with any questions or place an order at 800-969-7501. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment, share, and subscribe for all of the latest DK events, videos, and promos.